That's a great picture of the Our Father Church Tower with the sun right behind it. And it's going to get better. Let's stay here. We'll keep our stroll, which is rather modest these days, on the rooftop. We'll keep it in check until we get the full sun disk behind the complete tower. It's almost there. Isn't that marvelous? And then if we come over this side, I'm not sure if we'll catch the Franciscan Tower. No, I have to zoom in much more. There's the Franciscan Tower. Or zoom out, rather. Look at that. Okay, we already lost the center because the sun is moving. There we go. We got it again. That's the Our Father Church Tower on the Mount of Olives, built on the site of the church, the Eleona, which actually is probably the Greek for olive, Mount of Olives, the Mount of Olives Church. One of the three big churches that Helena built. One was the Holy Sepulchre, and then the Church of the Nativity in Bethlehem, which was later enlarged by that famous Emperor Theodosius, right? And then the Mount of Olives Church. At least those are the three I remember from her contribution. And the French Carmelites look after this particular church, and they have two big days in October, the 1st of October for Teresa of Lisieux, and the 15th of October for Teresa of Avila, the great reformer of the Carmelite sisters. I think we're going to stay here still for a minute or two, if you don't mind, because then we can let the sun disk rise on top of the tower, and that will be a nice progression, a nice image. There it's kind of resting on the main part of the tower, and the narrowing in spire on the top now is illuminated by the sun disk. In another moment or two it will be sitting right on top of the cross, on top of the... I can't zoom in anymore. That's maximum zoom in as far as I see here. Yeah. Just have to move a little bit here to keep it centered. I think this is the first time I do something like this with the sun. Many people take pictures, take their photograph with the moon, their hand held out, and it looks like the moon is sitting on the palm of their hand. So there we have the sun disk sitting right atop the Our Father Church on the Mount of Olives. There are still some parts of the remains of that Church of St. Helena there, ruined parts, in that site. Many people go there. They have the Our Father in scores of languages, if not hundreds, maybe 150 languages. I don't know the exact number right now, but many languages on the earth, including Old Irish script near the door into the church itself. Very good. So there we got this beautiful scene of Jerusalem in the early morning at sunrise. Isn't that marvelous? And yesterday evening I was in a very interesting place, which is over behind Mount Zion. Here we have the Dormition Monastery, which is a big landmark with its tall tower, Ottoman period style. And then you see the flag over the Latin Patriarchate. So I'm not sure if I'm doing the geography justice, but I would say behind that big tree here in the relative foreground, middle ground, and then go straight behind that, between that tall tower of the Dormition and the Latin Patriarchate, They're on the brow of that incline from Mount Zion down into the Gehenna Valley at its elbow. The Gehenna Valley goes here on the western side toward the east, and then it goes over on the southwest corner. It dips down into the Kidron Valley eventually, more or less in a direct line here with the Hurva synagogue dome top. And now I see a second dome top over there and I don't know the identity of it. So I'll have to find out what that is. So we're striking 6:45 here. I'm not sure if it's running a minute or a half minute early. It's Saturday morning, so very reduced traffic. Besides, it's a special weekend for the Jewish calendar year, the new year, that started on Wednesday. And so if they had Wednesday and Thursday free, then they usually have Friday and Saturday free, so it's a long weekend of greater quiet in Jerusalem. And I find the readings today fascinating. Well, it's kind of hardly any day that they're not fascinating. And also deeply interiorly connected, even though they weren't written that way. But actually the connection is also there, because the connection is the connection of the whole storyline from Genesis to Revelation. That looks like a family going in there, probably going to go to Mass at the Holy Sepulchre. It's just my guess. So the whole storyline is one, that we are created, that we are redeemed, that we need grace, that we need conversion, that we're called to glory forever. And you can find these threads then obviously in most of the scriptures, even though the stories are so varied and so many different cultural backgrounds. Job from the land of Uz, which the scholars say is somewhere in Edom, an Edomite, maybe some type of descendant from Esau, a different people. And Job is now at the end of the book. Oh, there are two doves just flew up here over us. We're at the end of Job's book, very end. And we're also at the end of something else in the gospel. We're at the end of a mission experience of the 72 that Jesus sent out to bring blessing to many villages and people. And they come back to report. And there's elation in both of the texts. Job is immensely happy because his fortunes are restored. But actually, I think there's a bigger blessing in Job's story, that he has learned anew, in depth, the meaning of adoration, the meaning of being a creature, being created, that we are gifted without our doing. We are gifted because he's gifted again with 1,000 camels, and his daughters are the most beautiful. One of them is called Perfume, and another one is called, what are they called? A dove. Actually, the two doves that flew up there, I should have remembered that. Jemima means dove. And so you have the Jemima syrup sauce for the pancakes in America. I remember Aunt Jemima sauce, syrup. And the Jemima means a dove. And Then the other daughter, they say it's the equivalent of mascara, or mascara, how do you pronounce it, that the ladies use for their makeup. You know, there's nothing new under the sun. And those are the names of his 3 daughters, and they're more beautiful than all the other women of the entire maybe planet. They didn't say planet because they didn't think in those terms, but. And then he has 7 sons, and the daughters get a share in the inheritance. So the ladies are. There was a provision for this in Jewish law, if there were no sons, so that the inheritance would stay in the family. But here, even though they have 7 brothers, and which is a fullness of brothers, right? 7, they get a full share in the inheritance. So everybody's happy. But what happened to the other children that died that Job had? And even though Job lives another 140 years, not too bad, he's going to die. And so the human question of suffering is not resolved. But it's a whole new chapter forward in the sense of docility before the Creator. God is wise and He knows what He's doing. And as much as we're smart and children of the Enlightenment and pretty independent and technologically very powerful in our times, just look at all these cranes here in construction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 6 I can see just from here in this spot. And you know, the cranes are an incredible invention, lifting up tons, hundreds of tons of materials to build buildings so high. You know, poor little Notre Dame here was built 140 years ago almost, with camels taking up the Jerusalem limestone, which formed a huge crater underneath, which is a massive basement. But then these buildings over here, maybe they're 40, 50 floors high. And the cranes have no problem, no sweat to take up all that material. Look at this, a whole set of cranes and another pair of towers going up over there in the background. It's just amazing, those great strengths that we have as human beings. But at the end of it, in the final analysis, we have to bow our head before the Creator. Because as much as we make stuff, we're making it from all that's given to us. Like the child making the sand castles, and the child didn't make the bucket and didn't make the shovel. And the child saw other children making sandcastles, or daddy helped to make sandcastles, or an older sibling. So, at the end of the day, we're like totally given, because Job was given again all his stuff. It was given to him. To learn in life that so much is given to us, it's not ours. And even inheritance, it's not ours. It's in our custody for a time. It's not our personal autonomous property. It's a treasure of humanity that's entrusted to us for a blessing for many. And it's not the meaning of our life either. The fullness of our life goes beyond death. And the image and likeness of God feels very shortchanged by death. Because being the image and likeness of God, there's DNA inside of our image and likeness, so to say metaphorically, that's calling for eternal life. To live forever with the one who created me with such love and such knowledge. Isn't this a glorious sunrise? Oh, I got an idea for a shot here for you guys. Let's do this. This is all wet. Now, I'm not sure if that's just pure condensation or if it really rained. The wood is quite wet here. Let's try this down here, see what we can get. If we get down here, maybe we can get some nice shots for you. Not really. Maybe we can get better ones over on this side. Different angle. Also not really. The alignment isn't working well. Or maybe I'm not working well. And you know, we have a similar type of logic in the gospel reading today. Well, first of all, let's do the psalm. I don't know if we'll have time for all of this, but anyway. The psalm has two lines that are very interesting, that are very difficult for us as human beings to accept in all of our pride, in all of our self-determination, self-sufficiency, the rights we claim, the treatment we claim even before God. And it says, teach me wisdom and knowledge, for in your commands I trust. That's already a big step for us, to trust in God's commands. We have sometimes major allergies in that area. But then if we move on a little further, this text is very challenging. We're in Psalm 119. And we're asking the Lord to let his face shine on me. Let your face shine on me, Lord. That's verse 135. It's a very long psalm, right? So then, and it's just a few snippets we have here. So now let's go to two of the verses that really tickled me today, you know, in the sense of really getting under my skin. And one was, it is good for me that I have been, what's the word? Can you guess the word? It is good for me that I have been, you won't guess it. You won't guess it. Come on, somebody write it up there. It's good for me that I have been afflicted. It is good for me that I have been afflicted. Can you believe that line? And the result is that I may learn your statutes. So we can see how Job has really grown through all the trials. So multiple, so varied, so complete in his person. And he bows before God. He says, I don't understand all this, but your mystery is bigger than my little hard disk. And I bow before you, Lord. That's Job's language, you know. I disown what I have said and I repent. You are too wonderful for me. No purpose of yours can be hindered because you are God. I'm not God. I'm not God. And sometimes we kind of change roles, and that causes us incredible headaches and frustrations and heartaches. I'm not God. It is good for me to be afflicted to learn that. Sometimes there's a lot of hubris, a lot of hyper Tarzan psychology. We're the Tarzan in the jungle. It is good for me that I have been afflicted, that I learn your statutes. And the second line is even more challenging, that I want to point out to you from the psalm. And it says, in your faithfulness, okay, so God is faithful to us. You have a faithful friend. In your faithfulness, you have afflicted me. And I think of the coach with the team that's on its way to win the Super Bowl or the World Series or a little league. And the coach is raising on those players to incredible levels of endurance. And the more adversity they overcome, the more affliction they overcome, the better they can handle the championship games and win and triumph. In your faithfulness. So a good coach will not wince over his players' difficulty and pain in increasing their abilities in sport. In your faithfulness you have afflicted me. So maybe that's an invitation to all of us that are going through an affliction at the moment, that we can acquire great humility, which is a core element of wisdom. Wisdom isn't about knowledge and facts, about information. Wisdom is about, it has a tremendous amount of humility involved in it. It has a tremendous amount of solidarity with others. It has a tremendous amount of recognizes the love in reality, the goodness in reality. People have gone way over time this morning, so God bless you. I wanted to go into the gospel, but it's very much in the whole same line of childhood, of being given. And even if people who are able to do miracles, like seems to be here in this text, it's given, because it's not with our own little muscles, our own little hard disk that we accomplish these things. It's God's doing and given. We are creatures. We are blessed to receive so much from God's amazing generosity, and He's allowing us to be team players. He's creating us in His image and likeness. People, isn't it amazing, the gift of life, the gift of reality, the gift that's given to us in our world as we live here and serve and just in life. Your children, your grandchildren, your neighbors, to be part of their lives. People, God bless you. See you later, alligators. Come on, I want to turn that around. It's not going for me. Come on. There we go. So, people, God bless you. See you later.